Chapter 1. On the steps of Seoul Station. David climbed the steps of Seoul Station slowly. Everyone else seemed to be rushing, but he felt like he was the only one moving at a different pace. He'd already learned the hard way that a good education didn't automatically earn you respect from the world. Still, he used to believe it. I went to college. I have certificates. I'm not stupid. So why won't anything work out? The winter air stung the back of his throat. His hands grew cold, so he shoved them into his pockets. He'd had an interview that day. The job posting said, "Experienced candidates preferred." But the truth was obvious. They wanted someone younger and cheaper. Whenever he sensed that kind of look, David talked more than he should. Trying to prove himself, he exaggerated without realizing it, and cut in before the interviewer had finished speaking. Even as he watched the interviewer's expression harden, he didn't understand. He only realized later, after he'd come home. What they wanted to hear wasn't "how much I know," but "is this someone we can work with?" On the way home, he opened his phone. In his college alumni group chat, someone had posted news of a promotion. "Congratulations" filled the screen. David typed, "Congrats," then deleted it. Something in him twisted. That night he couldn't fall asleep. When the lights went out, the thoughts only got louder. Why do things always end badly with people? That question was where this story began. Chapter 2. The Trap of Wanting to Do Good. David wasn't a bad person. If anything, he wanted to be a good one. When someone around him was struggling, he wanted to help. When someone was hurting, he wanted to fix things. The problem was that somewhere along the way, that desire stopped being help and started becoming ambition. At small gatherings, he often said things like, "I'll help you. I'll show you the right direction. I've got some experience," so at first people nodded. But over time, they drifted away. David felt hurt. What did I do so wrong? He wanted to be seen as the kind of person who does good. The more he wanted that, the more sensitive he became to how others reacted. Why aren't they grateful? Why won't they do what I said? Those thoughts started creeping in. One day, a younger friend who'd known him for years spoke carefully. "Hyung, you're not a bad person, but you reach conclusions too fast, and it feels like you're always trying to teach people." The words hit him hard. David's face flushed. He wanted to make excuses. No, he wanted to get angry. But the younger friend looked sincere. That made it hurt even more. When he got home, David muttered to himself, "Maybe when I say I'm helping people, I'm really just trying to be in Jongbadgo." Recognized, for the first time he looked straight into his own mind. No rationalizing. Quietly, coldly. It was a long night. Chapter 3. People are mirrors. Before spring arrived, David attended a humanities lecture held in a small neighborhood classroom. He went casually. It was close to home. It was free. He had time. The lecturer said, "Real ability isn't just about education or knowledge. The attitude of listening, the habit of respecting others, that's ability too." David listened without much reaction, until the next line stopped him. "If you keep meeting stubborn people, it means you're stubborn too. If you weren't, those kinds of connections couldn't cling to you for long." It irritated him. What kind of logic is that? But immediately faces flashed through his mind. A stubborn manager, a difficult client, a friend who always tried to win arguments. He remembered how often he'd cursed them in his head. After the lecture, walking home, David asked himself, "Do I have a habit of insisting I'm right?" At first he wanted to deny it. But when he looked back, he saw it clearly. Whenever someone disagreed with him, David thought he was discussing the issue, but in truth he wasn't aiming for understanding. He was aiming to persuade, and beyond that, to win. That was what damaged his relationships. That was the way he exhausted people. The moment he admitted it, something loosened inside him. The tight fist he'd been holding against the world started to open. "I need to change." After that day, whenever he met someone, David pressed one thought down into his chest like a reminder. The person in front of me might be a mirror of me. Chapter 4. Taking distance from someone you can't digest. There was one person in David's life who drained him constantly. A coworker named Junho. Junho always spoke as if he was right, and he had a habit of dismissing other people's achievements. In the past, David would have confronted him head-on. He would have lectured him, "Don't live like that," and then they would have grown apart. But this time was different. David remembered something from the lecture. If you can't handle someone, you need distance. It isn't hatred, it's regrouping. He spent days thinking about it. Was distance cowardly escape or mature choice? The answer wasn't simple. When you're in your 50s or 60s, these questions get heavier. Ending a relationship is never a small thing. At lunch one day, Junho took another shot at him. "David, you talk a good game, but you don't deliver results." Heat surged in David's chest. In the past, he would have fired back. But before he spoke, he swallowed it once. It felt like his stomach flipped. Do I have the strength to digest this person right now? No, not yet. So he said quietly, "Understood, I'll take care of it better." From that day on, David stopped creating unnecessary friction with Junho. He shared only what was necessary, clearly and calmly. He avoided emotional conversations. Instead, he strengthened his own work. At night, he read. He wrote. He polished the way he spoke. Strangely, over time, Junho's attacks decreased. Or maybe it wasn't that they decreased. Maybe Junho simply got bored because David no longer reacted. That's when David understood. Ending an unhealthy connection isn't about finishing with insults. It's about holding my position. Chapter 5. Humility learned from the Yule position. David joined a project for a small company. The CEO was older, someone who'd built his career the hard way. A faint arrogance rose in David. I'm educated too. In their first meeting, the CEO said, "David, I can tell you're smart, but please listen to our side too. The field doesn't run the way you think." In the past, David would have argued silently, "Why is he so old-fashioned? I'm the one who's right." But this time, he waited until the CEO finished. He took notes. Then he asked, "Could you tell me specifically where things get stuck most on site? I want to learn that." The CEO's expression changed. His shoulders relaxed. "All right, let's talk." After that, the CEO shared practical information freely. David refined it. He organized messy details into a clear structure, turned vague problems into actionable steps, then brought it back. The CEO said, "David, you're concise, easy to listen to." That one sentence warmed David's chest, and he realized what I thought was ability was just information stored in my head. Real ability is the strength to receive what others say, organize it, and hand it back in a form they can actually use. From then on, David understood power dynamics differently. Money didn't automatically make someone the one in control. Neither did authority. The quiet center was the person who could deliver exactly what others needed. Chapter 6. Family. The connection you can't cut. Learning about relationships didn't end in society. The hardest place was home. David's father had a harsh way of speaking. "What have you done at your age? Why are you always late?" It was a habit. David always got hurt, and he always snapped back. The air in the house would freeze. One day, he had a major fight with his father. David slammed the door and stormed out. In the car, his hands trembled. Then he remembered the lecture again. You can't cut family ties. Instead, change the conditions. Create distance so you don't collide. Only then did David understand how realistic that was. You can't end family like you end a friendship. Even if you resent them, you can't simply erase them. That's why it hurts more. A few days later, David called his father. He didn't explain much. "Dad, I've been a bit sensitive lately. I don't think I can visit often for a while, but I'll call you first." His father answered coldly. Fine, do what you want. After hanging up, David sat for a long time. His chest hurt. But strangely, it felt like the right choice. It wasn't hatred. It was regrouping. A month later, David visited again, with a calmer heart. His father's tone was the same, but David's reaction was different. He didn't swallow every sharp word whole. He let the thorns pass and kept only what mattered. Dad has lived in his own way too. For the first time, David began to see his father as a person, not just an opponent. That night, his father said quietly, "Eat more before you go." It felt like a confession, spoken in the only language his father knew. Chapter 7. When living for others becomes daily life. At some point, David stopped craving good connections. Instead, he started thinking, am I ready to be useful to someone? He began helping young people in his neighborhood with their resumes for free. He didn't give exaggerated advice. It wasn't, "I'll fix it for you," but "let's organize it together." He listened first. He found where they were stuck, then shaped their strengths into words. One young man said, "Hyung." Somehow, today felt comforting too. David paused on that sentence for a long time. To be a small, gentle help in someone's life, without big slogans, that felt more real than anything. He understood then. Living for others wasn't far away. It was treating the people closest to you properly, speaking in a way that doesn't humiliate them, listening and waiting, extending a hand only when it's truly needed. That was living for others as daily life. Chapter 8. Back at Seoul Station, but different now. One late autumn day, David walked past Seoul Station again. Same place as years ago, but his heart had changed. Back then, his question was, why won't the world recognize me? Now the question was different. What use can I be in this world? He wasn't perfect. Sometimes he still snapped. Sometimes he felt wronged. Sometimes he felt lonely. That's life. Even as you get older, the heart keeps shaking. But whenever he shook, he returned to these things. When desire rises, take one step back. When conflict comes, check my condition before blaming others. When a relationship can't be digested, take distance without hatred. Do good only when I'm ready. Real ability shows in attitude. That day, David gave up his seat on the subway. Not to prove anything. He just felt like doing it. An elderly passenger said, "Thank you." David bowed his head. "It's nothing." And in his heart, he repeated one quiet sentence. Good connections aren't something I chase. They're something I become. As he passed Seoul Station, for the first time, David felt he had become a little sturdier. Not flashy on the outside, but steady on the inside. That was the real ability David had earned.